If you're anything like me, you enjoy going to the movie theater. You know, sitting there with your popcorn, you got your candy, you're sitting about to watch a great movie experience. Well, what happens when two strangers insult you before the movie and then start watching that film with these two strangers? That's what happened to me. Let me tell you guys about it. So, this was about a year ago, and the movie was Poor Things. And my friends had previously watched it, and they told me that it's a pretty weird film. If you know me at all, I thrive on weird films. So I was like, hell yeah, I need to go watch this. So I booked my ticket and I went to go see it. When I arrived, my friend, who happens to work at this theater, was working and told me that two women came in and are watching Poor Things same time as me, and when they were picking their seats, they noticed my seat. And let me be specific. My seat was all the way in the back because I wanted to document my experience watching Poor Things with Snapchat. So, when these two women saw my seat all the way in the back sold, my friend told me that they just started saying, "Who sits all the way in the back? That's pretty weird. Why is someone sitting alone by themselves? It's a pretty weird thing to do." Me being me, I got offended because you do not start insulting strangers, except I do all the time, and it's funny when I do. But me, no, 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 no. That's not okay. But, there's nothing I can really do, so I just went in, and as I'm walking in, I can see them sitting. They were sitting kind of in the middle, but I did see them. And they saw me, and they started staring at me. So I stared back at them. I gave them a little glare to let them know, hey, I know what you guys said, and I don't think that's pretty cool. I'm walking up to my seat. They're still staring at me. They stare up until I'm up at the top of the stairs. I sit down and, I try not to think about it. I'm trying to enjoy this film because if you want to know, I did enjoy the film. I gave it a 3.5 star on Letterboxd. So I did enjoy this film. So I'm sitting there. I got my snacks. I got my drink. I'm watching the film. 20, 30 minutes into the movie, the two women, they get up from their seats and they start walking towards me. So I'm thinking they're about to say something to me. But I was wrong. They actually just ended up moving a couple rows back for whatever reason. I didn't know the reason, and I still don't know the reason, but we'll get back to that. So they sit kind of closer towards me, but, there's still like 2 rows in front of me. So I'm still watching, and 10 minutes after that, both of them get up from their seats and exit the theater. And I don't know why, but both of them came back. Now, I'm going to assume that they just went to the bathroom because I'm a guy and I don't understand, but sometimes girls like to go to the bathroom with each other for like whatever reason. That's just a girl thing, and I'm not a girl, so I wouldn't know. But they were gone for about like 10, 15 minutes, and all of a sudden they just come back. And maybe it just took them a long time in the bathroom, whatever. I'm texting my friend who is working, and it was slow. It was fine enough for her to text me on the shift. She also was agreeing that it was a pretty weird thing that they got up, moved back, and then left the theater. So, yeah. And then, about them being gone, 10, 15 minutes, they came back into the theater and sat in the same spots that they were. So, yeah, like I said, maybe they were just in the bathroom, yada, yada, yada. But then, about 20 minutes later, they got up and left again. And at this point, I thought that was pretty weird because, the average person doesn't need to use the bathroom 20 minutes after using the bathroom. So I thought something might be going on. But after that, they didn't come back. Now, truth be told, maybe they threw up. So one of them threw up and then had to leave. Maybe it was an emergency. But with the information that I knew, it tells me it really wasn't that serious. So I watched the film, and like I said, I gave it 3.5. It's a pretty good film. I recommend to watch it. But then I go back to the front and I start talking to my friend about it. And then also my other friend who also works at this theater, I start telling her about the two women and how they started insulting me and how they got up. And she tells me that when she was checking the bathrooms in the women's restroom, she came across two women like shimmying away from each other after she walked in. What we think might have happened and how I interfered with this is that these two women are lesbians and they wanted to have a date night. And for whatever reason, they wanted to get freaky in the back of the theater to pour things. But then they saw my seat and realized their plans had been foiled. So when they saw that, they started insulting me. Who sits all the way in the back of the theater? That's really weird. This guy's kind of weird. But then, yeah, they realized they still couldn't be hanky in the theater because there was also an elderly couple sitting pretty close to them in their original seats. So they couldn't do anything. So they tried to move back and realized they were too close to me and I might see something. So they ended up going to the bathroom twice and then they got caught by my friend. And then they just left the theater. Probably because of shame. And yeah, I would be ashamed too if I was caught making out with my partner in the bathroom. So yeah, that's my story of how I ruined. Well, truth be told, we don't know if they were lesbians, but the people I've told the story to are 90% sure that they in fact were lesbians and they tried to get freaky. So that's the conclusion we came up with, and that's the story I tell you guys to this day. And that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. So stay alive, do great things. Bye-bye.